Oh, it's live. That's not too bad a view, is it? Very good. Well, I hope everyone's doing really, really well this morning. Just trying to find out where the viewpoint for the camera is so that I'm not just talking nowhere. Guess what? Desiree's in the house. She just walked on in now. So I think we're about 1 minute, 2 minutes till 10. So we'll just talk some how are you going before Christmas stuff while people join in. Good morning, Sharon. How are you going? What a massive week you've had, but enough on that. We can talk about that later. There's Desiree. So how's things going for you all in terms of coming up to the Christmas time? Have you found, for those of you who are running small side hustles, that it's been extraordinarily busy in terms of winding things up for the end of the year and just can't wait to stop for a bit? And for others, it's the doorbell. We're at Melbourne Art Direct. I'll go and turn it off. Bear with me. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for that. So we've still got about 1 more minute. I was just talking about how people were going in regards to it coming up to the Christmas period, and we just spoke in brief about how you might be rushing, trying to pull everything together, how another part of you might be reflecting upon your year and working out what it is that you want to do next year. What things are you doing really well that you want to build upon and expand with? Hi, Fiona. I make you laugh on the inside and out. That's cool, isn't it? There's nothing actually better than getting a bit of something to think about and have a laugh at the same time. Do you know in real life I'm not actually a really very laughy person? It's quite odd how my personality is different here to what it is when it's, oh, we just got people coming in, to what it is in real life. I'm really quite one of those extroverted introverts. And thanks Fiona for saying that. I think that a lot of creatives actually are. Do you find, hi Angelique, do you find that you too, hi Steph, wow, getting a lot of highs, and I've got to just like keep focused because I interrupt my own flow. But how cool, isn't it? Angelique says she's exactly the same, and I know Nina is. Hi Nina, because we've talked about this in the past too. And I know Desiree is too, you know. So we have this part of us that's quite introverted, yet people wouldn't recognise that or believe that of us if they met us, you know, for example, just down the street or in one of our workshops or at an art show. We're very bubbly, high energy people, and we tend to be able to perform like that in bursts. But in our downtime or our creative time, we like to be quiet and alone. So I think we're creatures of the introverted extrovert model, and I believe that each part of us, you know, that part that it's passion overflow. Good one, Fiona. That's a really good concept to talk about. I know that when I start speaking about anything creative related, my sparkle turns up, 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 up. And I can sometimes burn myself out just by how excited I can get. Desiree's nodding in agreement in the background. So, you know, this I think leads really well into how are you going to use the Christmas period to have a break and really maybe instead of looking at what your creative path is next year, maybe spending some deliberate time focusing in on your self-care balance so that you can have a level of stamina to carry you through the awesome next year that we're all going to have. So I'm going to get Desiree on in a sec. Oh, she's coming now. Here she comes. We've got our coffees and all ready. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Here's Desiree. So I'll just get you to take one step there.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's camera hug.
It's okay. And just so that you know, the eye contact point is here, and it's really everyone. It's really interesting when you first coming on into the live studio, where do you look and what do you do? And our studio is very, very basic, fortunately.
Hey, Vicky.
So,
Good
everyone,
morning, Sharon.
if you don't know Desiree, here she is. And you know that this year, Cardinia Art Society, they had the privilege of running what we think was the first adjudicated resin art and flow show in the world. And Desiree won in one, well, not one, she came, what did you get?
It was.
You'd think I'd know I was a judge.
So one of my beachscapes won the highly commended in the multi-layer category. Yeah.
So I think a really good conversation might be, Desiree, if you could just talk about how you felt coming up to the art show. Was it your first art show?
No, it wasn't my first art show. It was my third one. But they're always a source of anxiety for me, which is awful, because I think you're putting yourself out into an audience that doesn't necessarily know your work or is a fan of your work. The fluid art one had a bit more of a happier vibe to me, I guess, because traditionally art shows, resin art isn't necessarily something that is viewed as a fine art. So having a forum to have fluid art and resin art where everyone feels like it's a good thing, a positive thing, was a little less anxious for me coming up into that. I was just admiring those coasters, they're so glittery. We've got some coasters for our workshop today. Maggie already made some. And they're so shiny. I love them, beautiful.
But that was a distraction. So, you know, I guess if you're planning on doing any art shows next year, and it's going to be your first one, I know for myself it was really literally about disconnecting from my own inner critic and self-fear and just deciding to follow the process and almost saying, yes, I'm feeling that, yes, I'm thinking that, no, I haven't got time to ponder it right now, I've got to fill in my form, I've got to make the commitment to what pieces I'm going to put in, I'm going to get them to finish point, and then I'll have my anxiety attack. What do you think?
Well, it's a funny thing that you were speaking about being introverted before, because I would also have to be in a very crowded room full of people that I didn't know. Which is awful for me. I hate that sort of situation. So I was lucky to have someone local who I know, who's also in with resin art, who sort of held my hand through the process. And again, also through this one, she was actually a judge. You guys would know who was in or not? No? Maybe not? Yeah, okay. So I know Trudy, because she's local to here. And she was judging when I went to the most recent one where I won the award. She was introducing me to people and allowing me to have a conversation with people, which made things a little bit easier for me. Otherwise, I would not sort of offer myself generally in conversation. Yeah, so that made it a bit easier.
So I guess from that, what we can take is that if you go to an art show, maybe go in pairs, because there's something, I mean, yes, Trudy had the privilege of sort of being able to navigate through the art show because she was part of the coordinating aspect of it. But if you go with someone, it can sort of reduce and halve the anxiety of approaching another person because you've already got your energy generating together. What about attitude for your art show? A lot of people talk about, oh, I'm not going to go in because I'm not going to win. But that's just the very tiny part of an art show.
Yeah, I don't think I went with any winning is nice, but I don't think I went with any expectation of winning. And my first one in particular, I produced a piece which was wild. It wasn't actually even beach related. It was crazy. I don't even know how well it was. Oh no, someone in the community sponsored it. Okay, so someone in the local community liked it. But I didn't have any expectations. But then again, that adds to the anxiety as well, because you don't know how well it's going to be received. But having said that, you know, not everyone's going to like what you're doing, regardless of what it is that you're doing or even how popular you are. There's always going to be someone who's not keen. So I don't think you can put that sort of pressure on yourself. It's not fair.
Have you noticed when you put that type of pressure on yourself, creating for the like of someone else, that you lose your creative love and the flow process of what it is you're making? And I think this is important when you're thinking about commission work too, just trying to make sure that when you're negotiating your commission pieces that you can really still create it from a place of love. Because if you're ending up negotiating, working with colours or a style that you fundamentally struggle with, it may indeed be a problem anyhow. Angelique, you know, that's why I reduced more and more in my commission work. I just found it really, really difficult to come from that place of heart space consistently, and just found it really like I was working. I know it's my job, but like, you know, I tried to create a life like many of us are, to be uplifted and do things we love. And the minute you're not, re-look at what you're doing, why you're doing it, and see what you can tweak to bring it back up into that really good place of joy.
I think I'm in, for the work that I do, particularly the more complex beachscapes, I'm in a privileged position to have an emotional connection for the most part with a client, which is important to me creatively. So even when I'm doing commission work, because I can understand the importance of the piece to them and the background behind it. And it's lots of varied pieces. I've got one coming, which is actually for someone's sister whose son died, and then husband not long afterwards. And I'm not sure of the circumstances, but it's very, very sad. So in that circumstance, it's easy for me to come from a heartfelt place to create. But, you know, I think if you're making abstract pieces and things like that, sometimes it's difficult to have a connection that way, creatively, yeah.
And with your beachscapes, you know, you're really, really well known for them. And I would definitely call it one of your, not even one of, your signature brand, because even when we look at your specialty, your side specialty being homewares, you specialise in the beach
there's big
scene coming into the homeware.
Yeah.
And you collect your own sand and shells and not what's bits and bobs down at the beach. And have a really nice connected experience into nature before you bring that into your artwork. So there's a lot going on there even before you start the actual mixing and pouring.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm quite picky with the pieces that I'm collecting and things like that. And they're already emotional experiences for me going out and collecting these things, because it's generally with other people that I love. So they're already, when I'm collecting something, it's already got an emotional connection for me. So
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks, Angelique.
I guess if we're looking at the notion of commission work one more time, if you can find an area that you love, and like, you know, Desiree's found that beach scenery or the beach concept and style really resonates with her at a heartfelt space. So in her to be able to recreate that with another person over and over is really awesome. And for me, I do a lot of chakra tables, healing tables for people in their energy rooms and their healing spaces, and I can do that over and over again in a unique way each time in relationship with my customer, but other things I just shy away from. And have a think about that when you're putting yourself out there. Yeah. So we've been going for about 15 minutes. I'm going to get Desiree to have a quick talk about her homewares little online courses that she runs at an incredibly ridiculous offer for you or anyone. In fact, it's almost too low, and I've wondered if that's why she doesn't get more people coming in, because they might be going, so fully, it's like, how much is it a month?
Yeah, it's US. It's is it US? I can't even think now. $5 US a month. Yeah.
$5 US, maybe $7 to $8 Australian a month to access for over how many? Over 70?
No, there's over 90 now.
Oh, there's over 90 now.
They're not all processed videos, but the vast majority are. Yeah.
So later on today, I'll put a link to that, so you can check out if you want to have access to some of these more particular process ways of doing things. There's no voiceover, it's mostly text.
So it's a little bit like Facebook, so I can write a big kind of blurb about things. So if you're not the kind of person that likes to listen and you like to read anyway, then that makes sense. But mostly because I'm wearing my respirator and I don't want to, you know, be talking through that. You won't be able to hear me anyway. Right, Darth Vader. Yeah, so it's a US-based site, which is why it's charged in US. I don't have any control over that, but the site is called Patreon. Well, I guess the easiest way is probably to follow Maggie's link because it's difficult to spell. I made the rookie mistake of making an awkward business name when I first started. So those of you who are thinking of venturing into that,
Branding tip.
Pro tip, don't do that. It's easier now that I'm getting my name out there, but it's actually quite difficult if someone's trying to explain it to someone else, or how do I spell this again? It's a weird one. Anyway, so there's lots of good information. Most of it is resin, some alcohol ink things as well. It does start with a full beginner's checklist, so all the things that you'd need to work with resin, and then a couple of safety briefings as well. So using your personal protective equipment and some information about potential skin allergies and things like that. I have lots of process videos. So most of them are homewares. I do have some of my beachscape work in there as well, but not the full thing. You'd need to come to one of the workshops to see something like that. But heaps of very, very good information on preparation of your homeware pieces, lots of timber pieces, what pigments to use, how to mix them, how to manipulate them, also how to finish off the pieces, so cleaning them up and sanding them, taping techniques, how to take the tape off.
$10 a month.
Right. Maggie keeps saying to me, you should be charging 4 times that. What are you doing? But
we're going to talk about self-worth next year.
Oh. There's a lot in there, and I like to call it the best kept secret because there's, I don't know, how many have I got? 36 or 37 people in there, but my wealth of knowledge that those people have got access to. If you've seen my work before, particularly the homewares, I've got, there's a lot of aspects on there which people are constantly asking for. So you'll find out all of the special stuff if you happen to join up.
And what are your plans for next year?
Oh, gosh.
Are you up to planning next year? I know you've been banging out all the Christmas.
No, it's in my mind. I haven't actually gotten anything out on. So I just recently quit my job to do this full time, which is exciting, but also terrifying. So I've got plans to do a proper website next year. I've been operating solely out of Facebook and Instagram this past 2.5 years. So
it's a good place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll just make it easier for the workshops as well in terms of bookings and accessing information too. So I hopefully will have more platforms in terms of payment, after payment, things like that.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. More workshops. I've actually got some planned interstate in February, so I'll be in WA. I don't know if any of you are from there, but I'll be in there late Feb. I've got a Saturday and a Sunday workshop as well, which I'll put on my Facebook page sometime soon. What else? We've got some things in the works for next year. We've got some more joint ventures coming up next year. So today we're running a Christmas theme workshop, but we're going to be doing a few more bits and bobs in various locations, which we have not yet determined, come next year.
I reckon in the next couple of weeks we'll have that down. Says me. I'm really pushing for us both to have a rest too. And you too. You make sure you have a rest too.
We never do those things this time of year. Maggie all the time is saying to me, make sure you have some downtime. Like, I don't have time for downtime. I need to do X, Y, Z, too many things. Anyway, that's Christmas.
So
Ballarat, okay.
A lot of people at this time of year are looking at what they're going to do next year, and a lot of people I've been speaking to have been wanting to work out, you know, just little ways to support themselves, not becoming like full on and, you know, creating a career per se, but working out a way to help get their art out into the world and get their products paid for and establish a little bit of a reputation within their local community. Do you have any tips for the starter-outerer?
Well, when I first started my thing, sure. So short version, I took a workshop, which was just an abstract thing, and then I was obsessed with resin. And after that, I decided to start making homewares, and it was just mostly to friends and family, and some like on Marketplace in Facebook. But it was enough just to allow me to buy more resin, to experiment more and create more, and I did that for a really long time. A really, really long time. I did my Facebook page. Keep in mind, like, there's a lot of resin artists now, so if the market is getting more saturated, that doesn't mean necessarily that you can't find your
I
own
actually
niche.
disagree, everyone.
You think?
I truly believe that.
I don't think it is saturated, I'm just saying that there's more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I truly believe that people are feeling that it's saturated because we're all working tightly in a niche. But in the mainstream, the majority of people,
Yeah, it's true.
90% of people that I talk to,
probably don't
still
even know
haven't
what it
even
is.
heard
Yeah.
of what resin art is.
Yeah.
So up in the gallery, when people are coming through, they're going, what is this medium that you're using? And so it's still very, very new in the mainstreamers' eyes. So don't let yourself fear the notion of there's too many people to compete with.
No, I don't think there's competition. I don't. There's plenty of us working in close quarters, and we still have our own solid customer bases.
And the other thing is that when you start feeling yourself fearing the competition, you need to try and work out a way to fit more comfortably with the notion of not being threatened, and try and find a way to go into collaboration, because everyone grows much more and you'll have more to offer people. Yeah. Because one and one, when you're working in collaboration, makes 3 or 4, not 2. Okay, that's enough on that. All right, well, we've got to go and set up for a workshop. Do you have anything else you want to say to everyone?
Have you got any questions for me? Here we go. Oh, look, try and create. That's true. Try and create an individual look. That is very true. I mean, not that I own beachscapes either. I'm not the only person in the world to do beach resins, but trying to find a niche is always a nice thing. If you find everybody, I think it doesn't matter who I've worked with, and even if we work with the same products, everyone has got their own style and the way that they like to put it down. Which means that there's a lot of variation for a lot of people to love the things that you do, and beauty is definitely always in the eye. Yeah.
I think on that note, it's really good to remind you that if you love your resin, where's your workshop? Is it in Dalesford? Not today, it's not, Angelique. Today's workshop's running out of Pakenham. But we'll be setting up our workshops individually and collaboratively over the next month, and they'll be on our Facebooks and all of that for you to pick and choose from. But in saying on the notion of workshops and what Desiree was saying, there's so many different styles and different ways you can use resin, and it's good for you to try and go to 2 or 3 workshops a year under different teachers, because everyone has a different thing to offer you. And just have a look at some of the outcomes of the work and you'll see the differences, and it's a really good way for you to expand your knowledge. Just even hearing the same thing over and over again in a different way can help really sync messages through. I've missed that.
Angelique said she was in Chelsea, which is not far. Well, and you're in where you hang out is not far from there either.
Very cool.
So yeah, what were we talking? Oh, yes, I was just going to say on the thing of workshops, you're never too experienced to take more either. Maggie and I both took some last year, and we are well experienced and know what we're doing, and we're still going to places to learn about
I
new
took
things.
3 this year as well.
So we're still going.
4 last year, 2 the year before. And I tried my hardest to shift around to different teachers, because I just like hearing different things too. All right, that's it. We're over and out. Thanks for joining in. And I'm not sure what's up next week. Maybe we'll sing Christmas carols or something. But thanks for joining in.
See
Have
you.
a great week.